All right, welcome to the first episode of the Rideshare Chaos podcast. We are here. Holy smokes! We've done other
Made it.
podcasts, and now we're just deciding to let's let the riders know what the chaos, pun intended, that we deal with.
Yes.
So like for me, I've been in the rideshare game for just about 7 years here in March. X out 6 months during COVID. I am well over between what I had on Lyft and what I have on Uber. I am well into 26,000 plus rides. What about you? Like how long you been doing it?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah, I just had my 2-year anniversary. So I've been doing it for 2 years. And I've done, I think 2,500 rides. I'd have to look, but about 25, not even close to
well
Uber
well
Seth and his.
I mean, I think the thing is too is that like I mean, I'm a single parent, so I essentially have to make two
Uh,
incomes. So like
I see.
I have a Monday through Friday job, and then I
Uh,
also do Uber Wednesday through Saturday, and I probably drive into the groggier hours than you do. Um, so I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
well, I kind of do the same. I'm usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I'm usually 6 to 3 in the morning, sometimes 4 or so.
that's about where I'm at. So I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's fair.
so
I think
so
I've just mastered the art of, when it comes to rides, it's usually like, hey, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Like
mm,
I don't think any driver, like the drivers that complain, those are
mhm.
the ones that
Oh,
complain are the ones that take every ride and they're driving all these
yeah,
nonsensical miles to
yeah,
get people and to go. And I'm like, there's an X in the corner for a reason.
yeah,
Okay. Like
yeah,
my acceptance rate is usually between like 35 and like 45%, and 45 is being generous. So
oh,
like I decline a lot of them, man. Like I don't want to drive 10 miles to bring you two. Like by the time I get there, you could have jogged. So
yeah, there you go,
um
there you go.
you know so have you so like what got you into doing rideshare? Was it sheer
Yeah,
boredom? Was it
well,
like, hey, let's
yeah.
pull some second income?
Yeah, two things. Yeah, second income was helpful, really, the side hustle. I transitioned from a role in my day job where I was a salesperson and I had commission, and I chose, right, wrong, or otherwise, to get in a non-commissioned role, and I took a kind of a pay cut as a result of that. So then I look at how can I replace that with 20 grand a year, 30 grand a year
Yeah.
extra cash. So that was the kind of the thing that drove me into, like, all right, I need to be able to, and you have all these parameters. I need to set my own
Right.
hours. I still
Right.
have a day job that's number one, and I travel for that work too. And so, anything that's kind of part time or whatever, and just being a regular employee.
Well,
Plus, I looked at all of the, let's say, financial benefits around having a side business that
right.
was not necessarily making a boatload
Well,
of cash.
yeah, and with the 1099 stuff, it enables you to write off a lot of things. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's what's nice for me is I'm writing off like 25 to 30 grand a year, like, which is an astronomical number if you really think about it.
yeah,
Like I write off what the average person makes in a year. Like
yeah.
so,
Yeah,
but I mean, and I got into it out of sheer curiosity,
mm, mm,
and because I still remember my first ride. Like if
mm,
like for us Grand Rapids natives, right? So I
mhm,
picked up this guy at by Richmond Park. Now this is when I first did Lyft. I was literally working at Pizza Hut
mhm,
on Alpine, and I was like, "Oh, I'm leaving it out. Hey, I'm gonna go start doing this." I went online, first ride ever, like, and it was a weird concept. Okay, like we get raised as stranger danger and
Uh-huh.
don't talk to strangers, don't get in strangers'
Right.
vehicles. And then like fast forward, now and we're like, hey, come on in. Like,
Come on.
and
Yeah.
and
Go sit
so
in my
and
car
I
where I can't see you. Sit right behind me. Yes. No, I'm with you on that one.
at Richmond Park and I brought him to the web. It was probably not even a mile trip. It was like I made like $3 or something on it, and I'm like, this is it? Like,
That's it. There you go. That's the
you
whole just
know,
keep doing that. That's all.
and well, in 8 years ago or 7 years ago when I started doing this, like it
Mhm.
was different. Like your acceptance rate was usually higher, not because you took everything, but like it was more spread out. So like
Mhm.
your rides
Mhm.
weren't as frequent because it was still on the ground floor of really normalcy in
Mhm.
like Grand Rapids specifically. Cause like, yeah, it was kind of getting some traction. There was a lot of different flaws on the apps and stuff like that. They've honed them in ever, since then. But
Yeah.
like it was a weird, it was kind of like you just took what you got because
Yeah.
everything was
Yep.
closer by. Like a far Uber ride was kind of a stretch.
Hmm.
Um, and so like a lot of your trips were very close by. Like if you made like let's say 500-600 bucks in a week, that was good money. And so, and I was still doing like, I mean, 75-ish, 100 rides a week sometimes, and
Mhm.
making that kind of money versus now if I'm doing 100 rides, I mean, I'm making $800-900,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
like it's really shifted from the beginning of doing it, and kind of becoming slowly normal. Cause it's like when I was doing Lyft and Uber, like, I mean, it was easy to do because it was literally easier to transition because there weren't as many rides coming in. So you kind of took what
Mhm.
you could get.
Mm.
But then once Uber started becoming more normal, Lyft has always kind of been the little brother of
Yeah.
of Uber. And so I don't know how to put it, but like, yeah, so it was a weird transition. And then once Uber kind of picked back up more, I said
Mhm.
sayonara Lyft and, been doing
Yeah.
Uber ever since. So
Yeah, I haven't. I also did Lyft too for a little while, just because. Yeah, you don't know like which is going to pay more, that type of stuff. So I still have my Lyft, and I have used it up to probably January this year, and I didn't get my inspection for my car has to get redone, and I haven't put it in.
yeah, and the Lyft app does have a lot better features than Uber
Yes,
does
it
because like
does.
with
Yeah,
Uber you have two destination usages versus Lyft that has two parameter like
yeah,
radius, which is great if you want to stay in the same area.
yeah.
But like, but both of them have their pros and cons. Like with like, with the Uber thing, like the destination thing, I usually put like when I'm starting off my day, I want to head towards downtown. I'll put in the Bob or Van Andel
Mm-hmm.
or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then I'll work my way down there. Um, but usually I don't really have to. I mean, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of come down because I'm not that far from downtown Grand Rapids.
Sure, 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 sure.
But I
Yeah, I'm
mean,
out in the suburb area, so that first ride is always interesting. Depends on because I'm in Granville, which is kind of southwest in the
yeah.
suburbs for folks. And so where I'm at is often date night. It's the date night if you're going on Fridays, Fridays and
Oh
Saturdays,
yeah.
date night. And
Well, yeah,
so
that like 5 to 7 window is like
yeah,
date night,
exactly.
and then like
So
7 to
I
8
get
7
called.
to 8 or 9 is like, "Hey, we did a little nightcap and we just kept drinking."
So what will often happen is as soon as I turn the app on, it will send me to Hudsonville or some other place that's kind of further away even
Yeah.
than downtown Grand Rapids, but it will be a drive to downtown Grand Rapids. So I try to ride the snake, so to speak, like, hey, I'll
Well, and
take
like,
advantage.
therein lies the perfection of knowing what you're doing. Like,
Yeah,
there's more to driving rideshare than
yeah,
driving rideshare. Like,
yeah,
for
that's true.
me, I like my background. I have 10 years of pizza delivery, right? And
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
in literally practically the county, Kent County, I've
Uh-huh.
only not worked at probably 3 of the Pizza Huts that have been around. Like,
Uh-huh.
and so I've covered the city, and so I can look at the numbers, I can see where things
Yeah,
are at, and I've been doing rideshare for 6.5 years technically,
sure.
and so like I can look at an address and know what it is, and I can look at
Know
I can
where it's at.
it can say
Yeah.
cross streets, and I'll know where it's at.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, if you go into like a police department, or I've been in, not that I spend a lot of time, in the booking room, but I've been in training rooms and stuff like that for police and fire, public first responders. And a
mhm.
lot of them have a training map. Like in the city of Granville, they had one, which is a city map, but no streets, add names. And so that's like you're testing each other all the time. You're like, okay, what street is that? And it's like, oh, that's Barrett.
Oh
that's
yeah,
the
I
fun
mean
thing.
it's
So,
it's
so yeah, that actually is a trick. My dad, he loved to drive, and he was a truck driver, and that's kind of how I learned to drive. I actually got my chauffeur's license and drove truck for a little while when I was a young pup back in my 20s. So I learned all the art of how to load a truck, all the fun, like put it on a certain side. But anyways, he taught me all about, I learned all about like, yeah, how the street numbers work, and how, when you see a certain, number, southwest, southeast, north and south, like, I still use all of that stuff all the time to kind of gauge,
oh
how
yeah,
far
I
away
mean
I want to go, how many blocks,
I'm
how many miles.
I fix quite often people's when they say like they'll say like, "Oh, this hotel. Are you sure it's this hotel?" Or
Sure.
like, "Hey, are you sure are you this? I don't see anything here. Are you sure you're not northwest, not southwest?" Like I do that crap
Yeah.
all the time, but like I
Yeah.
never charge anybody more for it, right? Like cuz
Yeah.
I can go on my end and just fix the address in la da da so they feel like I don't know where I'm going, and they feel like cuz honestly like so, like, on my thing, I don't know if you've seen me out driving, but, like, so I'll have the Uber Seth, but I'll have the 26K rides.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so I try to put that on there to know people that you're not getting in a dumb Uber, okay?
Yeah.
Like like, it's my flex, and I think that honestly, I would say
Nice.
maybe this is my ego talking, but, like, I think I'm probably the best driver in the city.
You could
Now
be. Could be.
because
I love.
see, because in the one thing that separates me from every other driver is that I'm Uber Seth. Okay. That's
Yeah.
that's the that's the shtick. So people like if you haven't had me, you've probably seen me.
I
Or
see.
or
Yeah.
or when you get me again, you're like, oh yeah, yeah, like or one, two people might even know who I was. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is Uber Seth. Uber Seth's dope. Like, he lets me vape in the car, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. So like
Yeah.
I've built up like even like the bellhops, like
Sure.
specifically Amway, not so much
Yeah.
Marriott because they don't have a bellhop out there. They just kind of have a couple guys out there. But like the
Yeah.
bellhop Charles at the Amway,
Sure.
we know each other. When he was gone,
Nice.
I asked about him, right?
Yeah.
So like in and I think like that's what kind of separates me from pretty much most drivers is that not even just the Uber Seth thing, but like my rides are memorable. Like I'm fun, I'm laid back. Like
Yeah.
I know as much as I know is that you hear the stories of dirty
Uh,
cars,
yeah.
smelly cars,
Yes.
like it's like the guy looked like he just smoked a pack of Marlboro Reds, like
Yeah.
and like, dude, this is your business.
Yeah.
I hate to see what your house looks like.
Right.
Like,
Right.
if you can't even keep a 10 by 5 box clean, how are you gonna maintain 2,000, 1,500 square foot of a house? Okay,
Yeah.
like my car is immaculately clean. I have nice fancy floor mats, not the WeatherTech, because that's just a waste of stinking money. But I do have the ones that fit my vehicle. So
That's good. Yeah, I think a lot of it is attitude. Like part of it is, from my perspective, is enjoying the time in the car and enjoying the people. Like otherwise, it's a grind. And to your point, you're running a business at the end of the day, and that's what. So you do want to have that customer service. You do want to have, like you're saying, hey, someone put the wrong address in. Am I gonna? And there's butthead drivers that will just like, oh, you better, I'm gonna cancel this ride, and they're just grumpy and mean. because I've traveled all over for my day job. I've traveled all over. I take hundreds of Ubers all over the place, and so when I came to this, it's like I know how to do this. I know how to
Well, it's just
have
customer
a good
service.
experience, right? Because that's what it is, and then it shows up in your tips.
Oh
Honestly.
yeah, I mean, I've had
So
weeks. I've had weeks where I've made like 200, over 200 tips in a week, like $200. Like,
yeah.
and that's the thing too is that like when you're a good driver, you get
Mhm,
remembered. Not even just because I have my Uber Seth thing, but like people just like
mhm,
they know the car because my car is one of one. Okay, like
mhm.
I got red racing stripes on the side. I got red them on the hood. Like I got the Uber Seth LED thing. So like my car is very unique and very memorable.
Sure,
And like I'm not knocking anybody that has
sure,
a sticker in their window or
sure.
the basic blue Uber or what are the pink little lift thing. Like I don't dog you for that. I just think like I just take customer service to another level. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Are you
and
Do you provide water for your people?
I
You
don't
put
do
water
that.
back there?
You want to stop at a liquor store, get your smokes, get you something to drink. I'm all for that. I got no
Yeah,
problem with that as long as it's
yeah.
on the way. But like I'm not providing you water because you know what? I don't want to take a drink from a stranger, okay? Like
Interesting. Yeah,
I flip
that's a
that
way to
thought
look at it.
process because I'm
Sure,
like I could have took a needle and stuck it in this thing and like
that's
put
true.
some drugs in, you know what I'm saying? Like, some of the store, that's fine as long as it's on the way, no problem, man. Just give me something while
Yeah,
you're in there.
yeah,
Like, and like people give me crap all the time, man.
yeah,
People have gotten me big old bag of Doritos. I say, hey, yellow bag of Doritos is fine. They come out with a family size, and I'm like,
yeah.
so I'm just snacking on Doritos all night.
Oh,
Probably
man,
not the
yeah.
probably not the best diet choice, but I mean, it's free.
That is a struggle. Yeah, that is a struggle I have is like, yeah, you're like, because of the time when we're starting, like you're saying, like six
Right.
o'clock. It's like sometimes you don't get dinner, and so you're kind of, like, cotton pick. I didn't get
Yeah,
dinner, and now I'm
it's
a little peckish, and
oh,
I don't
dude,
have
it's
any. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
it's
then you end up stopping at gas stations and snacking, and it's like this is not good. This
Wendy's
is
drive-through, man. Give me
not
some
a good
saucy
situation.
nugs.
Yeah, so and even through drive-through, it's just hard to kinda eat
It's
clean or have a good,
oh
so
yeah,
I
no,
I
I
try to
just it's
I try my best to
I try to do
have
Subway on Fulton when I can,
carrots
but
or
I
like
mean
Subway,
it's
yeah, Subway's a good one that, you can get a, you know, a
yeah,
pretty good meal that's not super bad for you,
that's not garbage.
loaded in
But like
salt.
it's unfortunate, but I mean it's just like, you know
Yeah,
what, when I'm on the road, like what do you do? I mean
yeah,
sometimes, but I will like stop and I'll go offline and I'll go somewhere halfway decent and like sit in my
yeah.
car and eat or something, you
So
know.
what kinda car do you drive?
2018 Chevy Equinox.
You're driving an Equinox. So I drive a Tesla Model Y, and so I usually start with 100% juice, and that will get me to like 11 o'clock at night before I have to really start thinking about, all right, I need to take 20 minutes out. So I almost have a forced break that I have to take at about
Right,
6 hours in or so.
right.
Depends on the weather and a bunch of other things with those cars, but nonetheless, I'm looking for a charger, and so it's usually at that spot. Like if I can, like you say,
Well, and are
I
there
could
any
stop at
down
Meijer and
are
go
there
inside and get
yeah,
a salad or something.
are there any downtown, like, charger-wise, like, I mean, at least, like, remotely?
N
Like,
Not fast chargers for the Tesla, not right now. Now, who knows what's gonna happen in the future, but the closest one to downtown is on Lake Michigan Drive.
okay,
They just put a whole new set of, superchargers in there on the way out to Grand Valley State. It's over on the right
oh,
by Shawmut Hills out there
okay.
on the Family Fair.
Yeah,
So
because
they
I
just
know, like,
Mhm.
that's always the complicated conversation. I know we talked about this the other day, just the whole idea of, like, that if you have a Tesla, like, you kinda start to know where things are at as far as charging stations
Yeah. Yeah,
versus
you do.
us gas
Yeah.
guzzler juggers that, like, we're like,
Yeah,
"Any gas station will do,"
exactly.
and so,
Right.
like and that's the thing
Yeah.
too is, like, if you know, you know, if you don't, you don't, so, like,
Yeah.
I would say I'm very Tesla illiterate, and
Mhm.
so, like, because I've never had one, I've always just had,
Yeah,
gas
I
vehicles, but
mean, the thing is, you get a lot of questions. I would say half of the conversations that I have in with passengers and customers is all about the car. Like, how do you like
Right.
this car? Does it make it go fast? You know, and
Right.
they want to know all about the car, which is really cool because, yeah, it just being in for so many people, I would say 45 or 50, well, probably way more than that. For a lot of people, it's the first time ever driving in a Tesla,
Yeah.
and then
I've never
having
driven in
20
one,
minutes to
so
talk to a Tesla driver that
right.
owns it, to kind of ask questions, the real, like, how is this really
Right.
work?
Right.
So people are
Right.
always very
What do
curious
you think about
about that.
Elon Musk? Like,
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
and then it goes
exactly.
political, and you're like,
Yeah, we don't go down that road. We do
no
we keep
politics.
it apolitical in the car. We
Yeah,
no
I
no.
think, and like, that's the thing too, is it's like, but I get those every so often, right? Like, I,
Sure,
I, I
sure.
get,
Oh yeah,
and like, I won't say which direction I'm going, but like, you get the opposing people out there, kind of, you know, rustling feathers for the sake of a debate, and I'm just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm
The thing
like,
is, with the Uber, with a Tesla, at the end of the day, if you're a car person, if you like driving, if you're, like, I grew up with hot rods. Like I said, my dad was a truck driver, and like we grew up with hot rods. I was born in Salt Lake City because my dad wanted to become a professional drag racer. So that
mhm,
was the place in 1965 to be. That was like the center of
the
drag
drag strip.
racing and stuff like that. So if you ever see a movie, there's a great movie called The Last American Indian, and it's all about Anthony Hopkins. He has this motorcycle from Australia, and he brings it over to Bonneville, and so it's this kind of road trip movie of this guy. And anyway, so it just is so reminiscent of my dad and that culture, because it's right in the middle of the 60s. The guy set a
Yeah,
land speed record in Utah, in
that's
Salt Lake City,
the salt
Bonneville.
flats, right?
Yeah, the salt flats. So that was the anyways, growing up with cars, all the time. So I've got
It's
several cars. I've got uh, other cars, a family car that I first started driving Uber with. And then, we have a little convertible kind of sports car that we drive around and stuff like that, and a Mini Cooper. And
right.
so we got a lot of cars. I grew up with hot rods.
Oh
And
yeah, no,
so, driving around this electric car, it is definitely, for me personally, not that I'm against any of the green energy initiatives or anything like that, but that car is the awesome car to drive. I'm just telling you, like, because the
yeah.
acceleration and torque in that car is so fast. And so it just,
It seems illogical.
yes, yes. And so
Well,
it's hilarious. I've
and
been
for
in,
you're right, and for the people that are always like, oh, the Teslas don't do this and they don't do this and blah blah. And I'm
yeah,
like, and you're like, hold on a second, I own one, I can weigh in on this, okay?
yeah,
You
yes,
gas
exactly.
guzzlers, you got no knowledge of the Tesla, okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I
and
mean, so you do have, I mean, there's pros and cons to the whole thing, but one of my trips I had a couple months ago, it was in the fall, Lansing trip from the airport. Someone said, "Hey, I'm going to Lansing." So I'm like, my son goes to Michigan State. And so I thought, hey, let's go. Let me just try driving around out there in Lansing on a bar night, in a college town. What is that like? How many
uh-huh,
rides would I get and all of that kind of stuff? It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun, actually. I don't know if I'd drive over there just to do that again, but it certainly
right,
was. It was a lot of fun. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to get back on the freeway to come back to Grand Rapids, my deadhead ride, which is what happens all the time when you take those
right.
kind of, it was a
It's a risk
Uber
reward.
comfort ride to Lansing on some weekend when it was really busy here in Grand Rapids. So the ride paid like $90, to go
Right.
to a place in Lansing. So it was like, oh, absolutely, let's do this. I'm all in on that one. And so I did it. And anyways, coming back, I'm sitting at the light just to get on the freeway there in Lansing, and a Camaro pulls up to me, and and he is, he's ready. He wants to drag race me right here at this light. It's just like,
Oh
I'm in this
man.
white, giant car that looks like well, it's like a family car, like it's a
Right.
grandma car, kind of, in many ways. It's like a family car. And so, yeah, that car has when I bought it, I didn't add this, but because I bought it used, It
Mhm.
was, it had the performance package added to it, which
Ooh,
is another 2
fancy.
brand or whatever, for this little software switch that they turn on that says this car can go faster now. And so off the line, it's like 4.25 seconds, 0 to 60. So when you look, so it's like a 400 horsepower. There's only
Yeah,
like 5 cars that are production cars in America that can beat this
but
Tesla
is
Model
so
Y with 3 people in it.
but
It's like,
what see, my looming question has always been for Tesla is
yeah,
you can't say fuel economy, you can't say gas pedal.
yeah,
Like like how do you if you someone asked you as far as like the mileage, like how do
sure.
you put that? Do you just put like
Yeah,
miles per charge or
yeah,
because
that's
you
how you
can't
think
you
about
can't
it, right.
because like what do you
Yes,
like what I mean
yeah,
so how many like how does it
yeah,
like gauge wise like how does it just
yeah,
percentages or is it like so
yeah,
you can say like hey I'm getting 20 miles like I don't know how it maps. I
yeah,
don't know how the
yeah,
fraction
exactly. So
stuff.
yeah, that's a really good question because that gets into kind of the one of the big things with is called people call range anxiety, like, oh, how far, and that's a big thing of why people don't buy cars like this because it is. It's like, well, I'm going to drive, vacation. What's going to happen and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, so part of it is kind of shifting the way you think about your mileage and distance, and you think of it more like a phone because it's just a percent of battery power. That's
That
the
makes
way
sense.
to think about it, not so much how many miles that has. Now, with that said, when I am taking that trip to Lansing, and when that thing comes up on and it's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like I said, so I'm halfway through the battery at this point. I've driven 3 or 4 hours, so I'm at 50%. I have to kind of go, all right, how far can I go with that in the conditions that I have right now?
Right.
So, at that point in time, I'm able to go to Kalamazoo pretty easily, no problem. With the Tesla, once you get down any kind of place in West Michigan that I would drive, once I get below 10%, you're kind of screwed. You could get screwed, put it that way. I had one way in Fenville a couple weeks ago, and I'm like,
Middle of
because it was
nothing.
super cold, my battery capacity just kept going down. It's like, oh my
You're gonna
goodness.
you're gonna
So
get
when I was out
you're gonna
there,
get towed by the Amish.
right, exactly. So I'm in Fenville at 2 in the morning, and I'm like, it's just dark and dreary and snowy, and I drop my people off, and then I'm like, I was planning on driving back to Holland because the Holland Meyer has a Tesla supercharger there. But that
Mhm.
was 14 miles. I literally was at that point where like I knew my car, once you get down to the 10, 20%, then you're like 30, 40 miles for that. So I was like planning on that was when I first took the ride. I'm like, I'm going to get there. We have 5%. I'll be able to get to the Meyer. And then as
Right.
soon as I saw that, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make it to the Meyer after I drop these folks off.
Your
But with that said,
pants were in the process of getting filled.
so I'm like, all right, hang on a second. So I pull over and there's other apps. There's other apps other than just Tesla. The Tesla can charge on other networks. And I knew that there was a one in Douglas. So Douglas has not Tesla superchargers, but has e-charge, I think is what it's called, e-charge superchargers there, and can charge up a Tesla. So I was good. I drove over there and I had literally 1% of power.
Goose
That
fraba,
was one of those like
goose
that's as close as
fraba.
I've ever. But you're right. You're right. I
I
think
so
yes,
yeah, I mean, I've never like
that's pretty rare though. That's pretty rare.
I've tried to push the envelope on my vehicle and
Yeah,
I could draw I mean, I've never tanked it out, but I think mine has like
yeah.
a
It's
50
like
mine has like a 15.5 gallon, I think. My work
yeah,
van, oh my gosh, man, I've driven that thing on 0 and
yeah,
I had to go to the gas station around the corner, so luckily, but I'm like, I filled that sucker up and it was like and that thing's like a 25 something, and it was like 24 point like 09 something. I was like
yeah.
driving on fumes. But
Yes, right. It's when you get below the E, you're like, how
right.
far? like, how good is it? So it's that same thing. You know that when you're driving around, like in Grand Rapids, we have for Teslas really good. There's one up on 3 Mile and Fruit Ridge. There's Tesla superchargers at the Meyer on
Yeah, and I
Cascade and
and I think I
Caledonia.
mean yeah, and it's definitely become more normalized. It's just
Yeah,
that if I don't know, I have no reason to know.
yeah, exactly.
That's my philosophy at work. If I don't have to know, I don't want to know.
So yeah, the thing with the is you start just thinking of I'm starting out the day not so much thinking about the distance that I can drive. It's more how much time I have.
Yeah.
And that sounds weird to think about it that way, but it does. It equates that way because the predicted miles by the on the gas gauge that it has both percentage and miles.
Mhm.
It's the miles is inaccurate, and it can go up and down based on how you drive. So if I have more
Right.
city driving, the brakes are it generates electricity. So it has like this whole recovery system. So stop and go traffic for a Tesla is awesome. Like you want that. But if you
Right.
have all these long drives that, might pay
It
really
just
well,
spaces it out.
now all of a sudden your distance goes,
And so it's almost like you're more concerned about the time than you are what it says on there. Like
yes, yeah, yeah. And there's enough telemetry in the car, enough like not just the one battery kind of like this is your charge, but there's much more detailed. Like if you pull over, you can get like very detailed, like this is your real distance to empty type of telemetry, and you
right.
can
And there's more there
calculate that.
it's more complex
Yeah,
than, looking at a gas gauge.
yeah. It's a little more complicated, but I've
S
had like so my pattern is if I have those questions about it, and I'm like I'm gonna have to charge if I get a long trip. Like I had one a couple weeks ago, and it was someday we had a Friday off from my regular day job. So Friday I'm just driving in the afternoon, and that gets you a lot of those to the airport, and then you never know where you're going to go sometimes. So that was over to Detroit. And so it was like, hey, I'll take you to Detroit, no problem. I might have to stop for 10 minutes if that's okay, because I have an electric car. And they were like, oh, it's no problem. So yeah, we just stopped at the Brighton exit and plugged in for 10 minutes and we were good to go. And
Right.
after I dropped them off, then I'm still pretty low. So I, just found a charger place nearby,
Right.
charger back up and drove around
And
Detroit
and and
that
I th
evening.
and I yeah, and I think honestly, I mean, even though I think Tesla's like what, like I think 2000 what, like 14 or 15 or something like that. I think they first started something like that.
Oh yeah, like
So they
2013 or something. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yep.
they really I mean, they're still in the midst of normalcy of having electric vehicles. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
but so out of your
Good.
2,500 rides, like
Yeah.
like what's some of like see and I don't when people ask me like what like oh
Yeah.
do you have any horror stories, and I'm like
Yes.
no I have the best stories. I don't have
Yes.
bad
Exactly.
stories because it's bad for them and great for me.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like so I like if you can like think okay so 2 years 2,500
Yeah.
rides like what's a couple go-to like stories, because like I mean
Yeah.
obviously I have a catalog, so like um so so
I can imagine
I have like
how many rides.
1,000% more
Holy
rides than
schmoly.
you. So like
Yeah.
I have legitimately an encyclopedia. Like what are some of your bad
Yeah.
ones like that were
So for me, the bad ones were my first vehicle, the non-Tesla. So when I first started, I drove a Volvo and it had carpet in the back, really nice carpet in the back. And of course, you always have the puke story. So this was the puke story. Some picked up middle-aged folks from a wedding party, and they had imbibed a little too much, and so the wife, it was a husband and wife, and they were dressed. She was dressed very nicely, and but of course, this is this at the end of the story. At some point in time, just before we actually got to her house, because they had like a babysitter there or something like
Yeah.
that. So just before, she was sleeping in the back, and you could just hear the water flowing. She didn't have the gaggy reflex, but I could just like, so it's like, no. And I
Jesus.
do have in that car, I did put in the like those molded mats, the WeatherTech type of mats that matched up. But they were just on top. They weren't the tray type. And so they got in everything, and it was bad. And the dude was so embarrassed. He was like, I'm
Oh,
so
it's
sorry, you know, and he was
well,
also,
I mean, and for all the pukes that I've had, like I've had a couple of little spotty ones in like the last
yeah,
like 6 months or so, but like I always love when they're like, oh, it's the heat in the car. I'm like,
yeah,
or it's the 20 gallons of alcohol you've been drinking. Like,
yeah. It
yeah,
doesn't have to do with any of the alcohol
it's
you're
the
driving.
heat.
Yeah,
It's the heat. Okay, for one, you were sitting outside and it was like 15 degrees, and God
yeah,
forbid I have the heat on here. I'm pretty sure it's
yeah,
not that. But so my first puke, I like so 3 of like my 6 pukes have come from Mojos. Maybe 2. I don't know.
ah,
2 or
yeah,
3.
yeah.
2 or 3, but I know 2 for sure though. So, but like, okay,
Mojo's downtown. That's what you're talking
so
about, right?
number okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
so the first one that ever happened, I cannot even make this up. And
sure.
this is before COVID, so this is safe to say, because I know the day and age we're in now, everyone's gonna get a little bit salty and soft and get in their feels. But so it was this one girl, and it was like midnight. They got kicked
Hmm.
out of Mojo's because they were drunk, right?
Hey, we're
So
not good
so
customers.
so the girl gets up front. She helps the person in back. Now the person in back is a guy
Hmm.
dressed like a girl named
Sure,
Tyler.
sure.
I can't even like, and I don't know where the ride was going, but
It's going nowhere.
we got to, so we were going down bridge and right underneath the like just before that highway overpass, right?
Mhm, mhm.
In the back, like, and
Yeah.
this is when I had my Cobalt, and like, dude, it was rough, dude. I literally I stopped. I said, "Get the f out," and
Right.
I pulled and like what's so stupid is back in the day, calling in a puke and everything else was so much easier.
Sure,
Like it was literally just take pictures and then they send you a cleaning fee within like a couple hours.
sure.
Now, this is my recent irritants though, is that so Uber now, like they want you to send a receipt of a cleaning fee.
Uh,
And so, like, hold on a second. So it's a
right.
Friday night, Saturday night. I'm not gonna let this puke sit in my car for a couple days
Yeah,
just because I want to get a cleaning fee. And
yeah,
realistically, like, one, we lose time, and
yeah,
two,
that's
we have
the
to clean it up. Three, we have the elongated smell. So like,
yeah,
and so they're really annoying, and it's really bothering me now how
yeah.
they have this set up. I literally had to go above everybody in the group chat of the little chat they bring up with, and I had to
Mhm.
keep on honing in saying, "Is it? Do you need help with anything else?" Yes, and just kept I kept the chat going, and I'm just irritated after irritated comments and messages, and then finally I get a supervisor, and they're like, because I was like, it wasn't a terrible puke, it was the fact that I had to clean it up, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so they ended up sending me like the $50, which was fine. That's what I requested. I literally said, "Hey, I know it's not
Oh,
that big of a thing, but it's still here nonetheless." And it was like on my door a little bit or whatever. And like I
yeah,
have kids, I've dealt with it. It doesn't bother me, but like,
yeah.
but it was a little bit
Right.
on the door, but it was puke
I know, yes,
nonetheless. And so
yes.
like they made me like it took days
Oh, yeah,
for them like to get my cleaning fee and everything, and it was
yeah.
just so
Wow.
elongated. It was so unnecessary, and I'm just like, you gave me $50.
Yeah,
That's all I asked for, dude.
I
I
charged
wasn't
the
asking for the
custom
full.
I was unfortunate that, it was, it happened right at the end of the ride. So, we didn't have the get out of the car drama. So
Right.
that didn't happen for me, but it was bad. It was a big mess. And like you said, so here it is, a Friday night. It's 10, it's like midnight or so. So prime time hours, it was like in August. So prime time hours, and it's like, yeah, no. So my Saturday's done. I'm not going to be able to dry it on Saturday because of this. And so yeah, I have my cleaning guy come out and do it, but it took him 3 days or so to get there. And
Yeah,
it cost $300
oh yeah. I mean, and
to clean
it's
and disinfect and make it
it's the
smell better.
biohazard that's the problem
Yeah,
lies. 150
yeah,
bucks doesn't clean up biohazard.
yeah.
And
Yep.
so for my, like, most of mine, like the first three, like I would go to like Crystal Clean or whatever, not Crystal Clean. It
Yeah.
was Millennium over on Alpine before they got
Oh, okay.
rebought by, and they just did spot cleans and stuff for me, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, I just have my own stuff. Like I have a little green machine, and that honestly does freaking wonders. And I have leather seats
Yeah.
now too, so I don't have to worry about the seat stuff. But like, no,
Yeah.
it's just a huge inconvenience, and they act like we're just lying.
Yeah. That's the
Like,
part
oh
I
no,
don't.
we're trying to test the fairness of your blah blah blah. Fairness of what? The photos of my freaking puke in my car? Do you want me to like take a camera angle and zoom out to my car? Like, and they make it so damn difficult, and it's really
Yeah.
irritating. But
Should
like,
not be this hard. Yeah.
because I've had ones that I reported and they gave me the cleaning fee and everything, out the
Mhm.
gate, and I literally cleaned it up and I was back on the road in an hour and a half. But
Yeah.
because I literally just went, and this is before I had
Yep.
my green machine, but like, and I literally just went and got my Scotch Guard stuff from my back of my car, and I just,
Yep.
and then I went to one of the self washes that had the vacuums and did that, and
Yep.
then drove around for about 20 minutes with the windows down and sprayed
Yeah.
some air freshener. And once I knew that it was dry in the back and everything, like, then I just went back at it. But like, I mean, sometimes you just have to do that, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because like for me, like I need this
Mhm.
income. This isn't like a
Yeah.
suggestion for me because I'm a single parent. So like,
Exactly.
I have to have two incomes. There's no two ways about it. And yeah, I could go jump on Lyft if I wanted to, but
Yeah.
like I don't, because I don't want to deal with all that. Because like my night ended at like, I mean, it was like a Wednesday or Thursday, so I wasn't
Yeah.
too like, but like I think it was a Wednesday, but like I didn't get my money till like Saturday, like after
Oh,
constantly
yeah.
bantering them with nonsense, and like I
Yeah.
shouldn't have to. Like,
A
you
week. Yeah.
look at, like, and the thing is, my thing is too is I'm like, look at how many freaking rides I got. Okay, do you think I'm just fabricating this nonsense for S and Gs?
Yes.
Like I
Exactly.
have, I'm coming up probably 23,500 on Uber. Like, you're gonna question my validity?
Yeah.
I probably been doing Uber longer than you've had your job.
Yeah. That's very true.
Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's yeah, that having them question yeah, like I said, I just took
and
some
I
pictures
get
and
it.
sent them in.
I get it. There are drivers that are sketchy, but then
Better. Yeah.
if you have customers giving bad reviews about them, then they're probably invalid. And then you should just
Yeah.
red flag them and let the rest of us make our money.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, you can't take your one percenters and the cream of the crop and treat them like the enemy. So yeah, that's unfortunate that happened to you.
but
As a
but
result, like you have your cleaning kit. So that was kind of the same thing that my immediate response was like, all right, this can't happen again. And so that was one of the
well,
things that was the
I honestly,
impetus to me.
I recommend a little green machine. You can get them at Ollie's
Yeah,
for like, you can get them at Ollie's at like, for like Ollie's at for like $60.
yeah. Yep. So I have one of those little, spot cleaner kind of a, daily
Like,
do's.
yeah.
And I went down the whole road of watching a bunch of online videos of people that do interior cleanings, which is a whole nother thing. If you're kind of,
Oh yeah,
it can be, yeah.
I detail
These guys that pull,
I
you see all
detail
that
yeah,
stuff? They
yeah.
pull the seats out and like these cars have,
I full detailed for like a couple years.
oh yeah, there you go.
I worked at, I was the full detailer at Breton Auto Wash.
Oh, wow. Well,
Way
maybe
back.
maybe we should just next time have you do it. You can
I
do my
mean,
detailing.
I mean, it's not that hard. It's just you got to know what you're doing. I
Yeah.
mean, you can buy the machines, but I mean, honestly, it's like, it's more or less you have to just keep at it. Like, you're not going to
Yeah.
go over it like 3 or 4 times and have it not work. But small detail tip for anybody. You
Yeah.
have to let the chemicals do their job and
Yes.
activate them before you do anything. So you'd rather you put your fingers through the
Mhm.
mix or a toothbrush or a comb. You have to let the chemicals do their job. So you can't knock chemicals for not working unless you actually activate that's what that foaming process is for. But anyways,
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah. No,
But
that's good. That's spot on. I do have now I have like a kit in my car, but it hasn't happened anymore because now two things I did was one is I have barf bags in the car. They're right in the
same.
doors. I have
The
you can go on
blue hospital ones. Me
I
too,
have
man.
I chose purple. So mine are
Oh,
purple. So there's two in every door,
oh
and
yeah.
I do have water up front, and I did find that actually typically will help too. Sometimes, like you said, like, hey, can I turn the window down or for you? Because
Put your head out the window. We're gonna get to the
yeah,
destination.
and I'm like, dude, please don't. Here's my bag. Here's just hold this. That's all
Yeah,
you need to do. That's all.
yeah.
If I'm
That
suspecting
yeah.
every, and
That
usually
recent
what
dude,
yeah,
the recent one that I had though was because, and then she's like holding like a bag from the restaurant or whatever from back
uh,
40, and I'm like, grab one of the blue bags. If you
yeah,
would have grabbed that, we could have avoided all this nonsense. You
yeah.
freaking jack
I
offs,
have barf bags for you. Please use them.
and I'm like, oh, but the bag's fine. No, the bag's not fine, clearly.
No, the bag.
But
No, please use my barf bag. Otherwise, you're
but
going to
yeah,
get charged. You know,
yeah.
that's the thing. It's going to get charged. And I'm
Well,
not going to like you, and you're going to get a 1 on your on your rating, and nobody will want to pick you up anymore.
I don't even want to get started on the rating process because
Yeah.
I hate all these derogatory comments. Distracted by phone. That's on a mount.
Yeah.
Or my favorite is not polite. And I'm like, nobody's ever got my view like, hey, what's up, asshole?
Yeah.
I'm very polite. Okay, perfect example. Okay, I had a situation
Mhm.
where I got a not polite, and I can't have my thing the next day, right? So I picked up this Indian couple that went from someone's house to a hotel. It was their first time in America. First
Mhm.
time. Number
Oh,
one, okay? And
wow.
so this couple they have a bunch of luggage in the back, and I'm helping them get the luggage out. And a 6'3", 4", I don't know, Indian guy, he hugs me. Okay.
Oh,
And that's culture. And I understood that in the
sure.
moment. But this was not a bro hug. No, this was
Yeah.
a full embrace, dick to dick hug. Okay. This was full embrace, and I
Yeah.
understood that it was the culture, and it was cool. He gave me a $20 tip, and everybody was
Nice.
fine. But in that same night, I got not polite, and I'm like, hold up. I got
Yeah.
involuntarily hugged by a 6-foot Indian guy, and you're
Yeah.
gonna say I was not polite in that night.
Yeah.
I don't know and I feel like
It's really
some people
interesting.
just
Yeah.
complain for the sake of complaining.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And they maybe have a chip on their shoulder already,
Well, and
or
it's just like, well, and I
they're having
hate it.
a
Like
bad day.
I can read the room when somebody gets in the car and they're on their phone or whatever
Yeah.
else. But like
Sure. Exactly.
I'm sure you've had this happen. Okay, this is where like I'm conflicted, right? So when someone's on the phone, if they're on the phone by themselves, like hey, and I don't
Mhm.
hear both sides of the conversation, that's fine. I'm not invested in that conversation because I only know half of it. But now when some yoo-hoo freaking is on the phone on speakerphone,
Yeah.
now I'm hearing both sides, and now I feel like I'm within my rights to weigh in on the conversation because
Exactly. At some
I'm
point.
invested. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
man, I know that guy John was an a-hole last night. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
you got to stay away from those guys with J names or something like, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
because these college kids are so repetitious, man. I swear, like
That's fine.
it's the same nonsense every weekend, and it's like, I'm a broke college student. No, you're not. You're a college student. You're broke because you go out 4 nights a week. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
and then you say the two most horrible words that nobody wants to hear when you're going out, and that's credit card.
Mm.
Like, you don't go out
Mhm.
with a credit card, dude. You go out with either cash in hand or a debit card that you know how much money you got,
Sure,
okay? Like, as soon as you swipe
sure.
that credit card, man, you're not only tipping the bartender, you're tipping the credit card company, okay? Like,
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's
so
true. They get a little cut.
so
They get a little
yeah,
cut.
I mean, like, and then you tack on the interest and everything else, and I'm like, man, your $45 bar night is like $75 without tip.
That's yeah. That's
Like,
wild. It's
oh
wild.
man, I have
Yeah,
credit
the
cards for
college kid
emergencies. Oh,
yeah. The college kids keep that's the barometer of, success, to me often is, if the college kids are in town, then it's gonna be a good you see usually a good bar nights,
oh,
those
it's
are
they're it's
usually
they're
happening, and then around Christmas time or something like that when they're all gone, it's like, "Well, kids," I kinda vibe off of it, honestly. I like that. I have, what I did was, because the Tesla has Spotify in it,
mm,
and, what you can do is so I have this cheapy, tablet I bought from Amazon for, like,
mhm.
$80, and you can basically, you log in on the tablet with your Spotify account, and then you just put it in the back, and you just say, "Hey, you guys, whatever you wanna listen to."
Yeah,
And, I'm always I mean, my kids we're empty nesters, so my youngest is 22. So so but growing up, I was always asking them, "What are you guys listening to?" Because I love
right,
music. So I was
right.
always listening, "Hey, what are you guys listening to?" And so I'm always curious into what they listen to. And so it's like, "Hey, you guys pick the songs. You guys pick the
And then
music, and we'll
and
have a
then
good
and
time."
then 2
So
minutes in, you're like, "Oh, crap. I don't know if I should do this anymore. I
yes.
don't wanna I don't wanna hear about this wet AP, man." Like,
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
There's
I don't
yeah.
like freaking
So yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion and Lotto and Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, and you're like, "Gosh, man, what
Yeah.
this is what's wrong with
Yeah.
society."
Yes,
Like,
exactly. And
this is
young
the
kids
reason
today
this
and
is
their
why
rock and roll.
teen pregnancy happens because all this
Yeah,
music, it just glorifies a horrible lifestyle. But anyways,
yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah. I
I
find it
usually
really
listen I usually
yeah, it's
listen
always
to,
fun.
like, I'll usually have, like, a country playlist or, like, a pop punk or, like, an alternative,
Mhm.
and I mean, I have XM too, so, I mean, I
Yeah.
my music changes throughout the whole night, but
I'm like I feel like I'm a DJ. I'm kind of helping. I'm curating the evening here. So we're always getting the, I've got many different playlists for all different moods. So it all depends on what's
Right.
going on. But, so yeah,
I mean,
everything from
well
Hispanic, like cumbia, yeah, I love all that stuff, to jazz, cool jazz. I like a lot of different kind of instrumental jazz music, but, the majority of the music that I have found, and here's a tip, here's a music tip,
mm,
for West Michigan is, any song that would be played if you have African American friends and you go to a wedding, they're gonna play the best playlist because it's like hip hop all the way back to Stevie Wonder and the
oh,
Supremes. Like,
yeah. Oh, man,
it's
I
the
got a couple of those.
Midwest, like, Philly soul playlist with Michael Jackson, and, like, the Doobie Brothers are thrown in there, some Toto
Oh, dude,
songs.
it's
It's
nonsense
all
sometimes,
it's
you're like,
like this really that's the playlist, like what you
go
would hear
from
at a roller
J
skating rink,
go from
like that's
Jay-Z
the
to
best play.
Aretha Franklin, like,
Yeah,
it's
exactly, and, so that I have one of those I have several of those kind of playlists that are like that, that would be, it any race, creed, color, no one's gonna
right.
get offended at
Well,
this music.
I
It's
just try to make sure I
positive,
have, like I just try to make sure I have clean playlists, though, so, like,
Yes, exactly.
because I
Yeah.
don't wanna, I don't wanna have anybody get salty, so but, I
Yes.
mean, if
Yeah.
like
Yeah, there's a couple Spotify playlists that are out there, "Safe for Work." You see,
yeah.
they
Oh,
literally the
dude,
playlist is
there's
called
so
"Safe
many,
for
dude.
Work Hip Hop," you know?
I've had
So
Spotify for, like, 10 years, so, like, probably
yeah,
longer than that, so, like,
yeah,
yeah, but, yeah, I mean,
I
it's
enjoyed it.
fun, but, I say we put a pin in this,
Sure.
definitely, I think this was a great first episode. I mean, I'm gonna post this stuff on Opus Clip. There'll be lots of clips for everybody to see
Yeah,
on YouTube, all Instagram, all these other things. So I've had a blast. I think
yeah,
I think we got a good energy going. We have different perspectives on a lot of different things.
mhm.
So I look forward. So we're gonna do this every 2 weeks, just so we can kind of.
Sure.
This was kind of the kickoff, just kind of feeling everything out. Pretty much moving forward, basically gonna kind of talk about kind of what's happened in the last couple weeks. Any funny stories, any nonsense like
Sure.
that. Any stupid comments from Uber that they decide to throw at us.
Yeah, we'll let everybody know how the because I'm starting my adventure on the, what is that called? The what's the mode that we're calling that? The advantage mode.
Yeah, advantage mode. So
whatever that
I'm
is.
on normal because you have a certain whatever percentage. You basically have to have 25% acceptance rate, 8% or less cancellation rate, and like a 9.85 either on driver rating or the overall rating. So that's what dictates that.
The acceptance rate. The thing about that's interesting with it is the acceptance rate is only 25%.
Yeah,
I thought it would have been higher, but it's not. It's only 25%.
it's because they've accepted people have been wised up to not taking 10-mile trips to go 2 miles.
Yes.
But
so I play that game. So yeah, we can talk about all that stuff because I play that game because I want to be gold or platinum. And I have a personal reason for that. And I will share the journey that I'm on the next podcast that we have.
I'm on the journey of making money and screw the rating.
I'm on the journey of making money too. But
So all right, I'm on the downslope. You're on the upslope, and we'll meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great week.
Yeah.
And it is Tuesday, so got lots of week left. We'll have definitely more nonsense next or in 2 weeks. I hope everyone is all good and well. This is the Rideshare Chaos Podcast. Peace.